Hey guys, we have a full moon in Libra that is coming into effect this weekend, Saturday, April 16th. The sun and the moon will come to directly opposing points in the sky, giving us our full moon, marking the halfway point in our new moon in Aries cycle that began a couple of weeks ago, sort of showing us the progress of the growth that we've made since that point in time. And also, full moons represent tremendously heightened levels of energy. They have a tendency of bringing things to sort of a climax point and also putting on full display, full disclosure, full exposure of things that have perhaps been going on in the shadows behind the scenes. And this particular full moon, I have a feeling, is going to be doing a lot to sort of expose some corruption, some underhanded shady business that may have been going on for a while, actually, both in our personal lives and on the collective stage. This is definitely a full moon that has a lot to do with purging, regeneration, and transformation. So let's jump into the report and really get down into this full moon business. Look at the chart, see what's going on and what we can expect with this very powerful full moon in Libra that we have activating this weekend. Welcome back to my channel, everybody. My name is Aubrey, and this is my report, my analysis of this full moon in Libra that we have going on this weekend. Again, it's happening Saturday, April 16th, 2022. It is happening at 26 degrees in 45 minutes of Aries and Libra, and it's happening at 2:54 p.m. Eastern time. So those are the basics of the chart that we are looking at for this full moon. Now, like I said in my intro, a full moon always occurs when we have the sun and the moon coming into direct polar opposition with each other. Our new moon is when they line up at the exact same degree together, and then our full moon is when they're at their furthest distance apart. And of course, between the time of our new moon, when they both come together, to the time where they form this direct opposition, energy is growing, and the things that we began with the new moon, our seed planting time, are growing as well. And when the full moon happens, a lot of times this is a time where we are really getting like a good understanding of what we've been cultivating, what we've been growing, what we've been developing in terms of our intentions or the seeds that we planted, or just generally what we've been working on since that new moon phase. Now, again, full moons, this is the fullest light of the moon. This is the time each month when the darkness is most illuminated by this glowing orb in the sky, and it really lights things up. It lights up the darkness. And so this can also be very synonymous to sort of exposing things that have been hidden in the darkness. And there are major themes of this, like woven all into this full moon that we have going on today. And also, because of the specific degree placements where this full moon is occurring today, it's also sort of taking me back to, again, the new moon chart actually that we had going on for last year, and some of the things that were in effect as the energy began to play out for our 2021 lunar cycle last year. And it's almost like, as I'm looking at this chart coming into effect, and this has been happening recently, if you've been following my work over the past couple of days, I've been talking about this as well. We've been having some ongoing activations now that seem to be bringing to a close or reactivating or culminating or tying up loose ends in regards to some things that began going on last year that happened for the purpose of allowing us to essentially free ourselves energetically in a way that helps us to move and make this transition into the age of Aquarius. That is really like the end game in all of these transits that are going on right now, especially, last year, 2021, that lunar cycle that was marked by Uranus in square to Saturn, a fundamental aspect of the year last year, was really trying to break us out of the long established orders and ways of being and doing things and help us to head in this radically new direction, aligned with a sense of authentic truth and potential and creativity and, aligning with our unique gifts and talents and the value that those represent, and really breaking ourselves free from anywhere we've been surrendering our power out of any sense of lack of value inside of us, or just fear that we couldn't or we didn't have enough within us in order to be able to be like the captain of our own ship, the conductor of our own universe. And last year was really trying to show us our power in a lot of ways to help us break free from those situations and move forward. And, as I said, if you've been following my videos for the past couple days, I've been talking a lot about this because we've had some other aspects hitting that were also sort of emphasizing this idea. But again, by the position of this full moon today, which I will talk about in more detail as we get into the report, again, there are themes of breaking toxic cycles, especially in regards to relationships or addictions or anywhere that we've been surrendering our power, a process of us liberating ourselves in some very deep and internal complex, like psychologically complex ways that began last year, is really sort of getting the exclamation point or being like we're being released from it in this energy in terms of the way I'm reading this chart alongside what this full moon is doing. So that being said, let's jump into the specifics of the full moon. I'm going to talk about, the aspects that we have going along with it, the Sabian symbols, of course, the symbology coming through alongside the planetary placements, and other aspects that we have going on alongside the full moon as well. So first of all, this full moon is happening in Libra and Aries. The sun is in Aries. That means the moon is lining up in the oppositional sign, which is the sign of Libra. Now, Libra is ruled by Venus. And generally, when we have a Libra full moon, this is a time when there are just emphasized themes of like peace and connection and relating with others, and, value, resources, money can also be a theme that comes up. But generally, it has to do with sort of rebalancing the scales and exposing to us where things may have been out of balance, or maybe we have been, acting more out of a more egoic nature, with Aries being ruled by Mars in the oppositional sign, and how we maybe need to rebalance ourselves internally in order to come to a place of better peace and compassion and love, all of these Libra Venus themes. In the context of this full moon, though, and the way that it's playing out, I do really feel like these themes of restoring the peace, restoring the balance, rectifying situations are running very strong through this energy. But I feel like this is happening, as I said in my intro, more so in a way of really rooting out corruption and purging aspects and dynamics of the past that have contained a lot of power and control, but that are no longer working in a way that is beneficial to the overall good of the human collective, or in terms of our personal lives, the overall good of our soul's calling, the activation of our destiny and potential, what our soul is truly being called to authentically align with at this point in time. Wolf in sheep's clothing type of situations I see being exposed with this full moon offering full exposure. And because of that, I feel like it is going to do some things to restore some type of balance, some type of justice, ultimately in some type of a way. Although this could also be quite a tumultuous cycle. We do have the sun in Aries ruled by Mars, the sign of the warrior, which Mars is actually in Pisces right now, and we'll talk about that as well. But this full moon itself is actually in almost an exact square to Pluto. There is a 2-degree orb separation between the squares that are going on between the moon in Libra and the sun in Aries. This is a cardinal T-square that is setting up, meaning we have an opposition between the sun and the moon, but both the sun and the moon are making squares to Pluto in the end of Capricorn. Cardinal squares, cardinal signs, these are active signs. This is when action is taking place. Action is happening. Something is being initiated. Squares bring conflict. Squares bring tension. Squares bring building pressure for the point of some type of breakthrough and some type of resolution into a actually higher, better state of something in some type of a way. But with it being Pluto in the very last degrees of Capricorn, this is the destruction, the purging, the regeneration of the old long-standing forms of power and control that have really reigned over the collective of humanity over this entire past age of Pisces, actually. Like, this is not short-term stuff. This is long-standing power dynamics that go way back into time, that are very much so associated with the spiritual hierarchies that are represented by the age of Pisces. Now, we are in a transition right now. We are in a shift of ages, moving from the age of Pisces, the age of sort of schooling together and following the leader, into the age of Aquarius, which is the age of being the leader, the age of self-knowledge, self-empowerment, self-mastery, and co-creation with God and universe. And in that context, the fact that we are dealing with this first full moon of our 2022 astrological lunar cycle. Remember, we just had our new moon in Aries a couple weeks ago, and it started off hot. Like, it started off with a bang. We started off with like an immediate Mars and Saturn conjunction. Then we still have Neptune and Jupiter conjoining in the sky. That's huge. Both of those aspects are very significant. And now already here we are at our full moon that happens to be in an almost exact square to Pluto, which again is talking about in the sign of Aries, in the sign of Libra. Also, mind you, and I'm going to talk about this more as I get into the report. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but Mars and Venus, both the rulers of Aries and Libra, where this full moon is occurring, are in the sign of Pisces right now with that profound, grand, rare Jupiter-Neptune conjunction that is happening in the sky. And so there is definitely, just by the planetary rulers of these signs where the full moon is occurring today, being in the sign of Pisces, there is a huge, like, spiritual infusion of truth that is coming through with this full moon today that is really exposing a lot of the corruption and, like I said, underhanded, shady business that has been going on in places of power for very long established spans of time. And things are coming to a head, and things are going to be beginning to be exposed. They are going to be really kind of put on full display, and there's going to be some major purges among, again, these elite and powerful classes that have withheld power for very long periods of time to the detriment of the development and evolution of the collective human soul and humanity into the age of Aquarius. Anything that is standing in the way of that right now or is trying to invert the spiritual truths that are coming in, I feel like is on the table for rectification and judgment. I mean, justice, essentially, also associated with the sign of Libra with this full moon. So very significant, you guys. I mean, Pluto rules death, rebirth, transformation, purge, regeneration, purification. It's this phoenix rising energy. And Capricorn, where Pluto is located right now, this is the sign ruled by Saturn of long established reigns and regimes of power and control. And with Pluto nearing the end, the very end, 29 degrees of Capricorn right now, and we have this full moon coming in effect today, Aries and Libra, while both of the rulers are in the sign of Pisces right now. There is just some type of spiritual truth that is bringing this reign of power to an end. Now let's throw it back for a minute, and I want to sort of get into the specifics of what I was mentioning about sort of coming full circle in this energy from the things that we began to release ourselves from last year. Now let's talk about degree placements. As I said, the full moon is occurring at 26 degrees and 45 minutes of Aries and Libra, but I read the Sabian symbols, you guys. And for those of you who are new to my channel, welcome. If you're unfamiliar with the Sabian symbols, what they are is a group of symbols that describes each and every one of the 365 degrees, or 360 degrees of the zodiac. Every time that, there's a planet at a point making an aspect, we can look at the degree placement, we can look at the degree and read the Sabian symbol, and it just gives us more information about what is really going on with this aspect in the overall context of this grand unfolding astrological story that is constantly carrying us through time and space. So as an astrologer, I always love to reference the Sabian symbols because it just gives us another interpretation that we can apply as sort of an overlay to the aspects that are going on. And I feel like it just brings a lot of clarity. So I'm always looking at the Sabian symbols. And because of that, you guys, when I'm talking about the degree placements for a chart, any given chart that I'm reading in today, specifically this full moon chart, I'm rounding up a degree because when we read the Sabian symbols, we look at the wave of energy that is coming in, that is beginning to manifest, that is beginning to express, instead of the wave of energy that is going out, that is dissipating, and that is starting to clear. So when I'm looking at the degree placement as I'm doing this analysis for 26 degrees and 45 minutes, where the exact alignment is activating today, I'm going to be talking about 27 degrees of Aries and Libra because I'm rounding up again to take into account the energy that's coming in and not just the energy that is waning out. So the degree placement, the Sabian symbol degree placement of the sun today for this full moon is 27 degrees of Aries. That Sabian symbol is through imagination, a lost opportunity is regained. And I love this Sabian symbol today. this degree placement for a couple of reasons. Number one, on face value, it's obviously offering a very positive message that goes hand in hand with what this entire 2022 year is trying to bring us. This year 222, which numerologically is associated with helping to align us with what will help us to attract our soul's like truest form of love and connection and genuine fulfillment. And last year also was a year very much about helping us to return to some opportunities that we may have felt were lost forever. And that was because last year we had Venus for our new moon in Aries at this specific degree, 27 degrees of Aries. And she was forming for that new moon last year an exact square to Pluto in Capricorn. So for our new moon in Aries cycle that began last year, and the new moon in Aries marks the theme, what's going to be unfolding throughout the course of the entire year. With Venus in a square to Pluto at this specific degree, it told me that last year was all about putting us in very difficult situations that were trying to help us break free from places that we had been surrendering our power in the past out of any sense of lack of worth or value or love that was existing inside of us, and therefore feeling a need to receive external validation and support from others. And as a result of being able to break ourselves free from any of these toxic attachments or addictions or relationships or circumstances generally, there were going to be opportunities regained that we may have felt had been lost forever. And now here we are, come full circle, over a year later. The new moon last year was on April 11th, where at April 16th, 2022, we have the sun coming to this exact same degree in a square to Pluto for the new moon. So this, I really do feel, is telling us that this final exposure, whatever is coming with this full moon, whatever we're finding out, whatever, as I said, like wolves in sheep's clothing are coming out of like the shadows and stuff like that, and we're seeing the true colors of things, I feel like it is finally helping us to sever these remaining ties with any of those toxic attachments that had been keeping us out of our place of power, and therefore through that process come into the point where we can really attract these or regain these lost opportunities in this magical 222 year with Neptune and Jupiter conjunct in Pisces that is trying to do the same thing. So this is actually like, I hope it's not too confusing the way that I'm sort of like delineating this, because I'm trying to like take this like whole big like beautiful tapestry that I'm like seeing in my mind and condense it down into like English words, and it's a little bit tricky, but I hope that I'm like being like clear in the way that I'm conveying this. But I really like whatever difficult, painful scenarios that we may have been forced to encounter last year as a result of maybe some toxic situations that we have found ourselves in. I feel like whatever is coming with this full moon is really helping to restore our own light, our own strength, our own value, our own sense of self-empowerment and love as well, with the moon being in Libra, sign ruled by Venus, and love, of course, also. But with this square to Pluto, again, ongoing, and with the sun coming to this degree, these opportunities are coming back. These chapters are being closed. We're swinging the final sword. And it's really empowering us to realign our vibration in a way that can draw to us these lost opportunities, these miracles, this magic that this year is trying to bring us. Very powerful, very amazing. Like, I really feel like this next few weeks, people are going to be really breaking some addictions, walking away from some things that they have been struggling with for the past year, but finally just doing it in this energy is kind of how I'm seeing this play out. Also, the Earth and the moon, we have to talk about, I mean, the Earth is always in the polar opposition to the sun, but we have the moon aligning with Earth today, of course, in polar opposition to the sun as well. That Sabian symbol is an airplane sails high in the clear sky. So the position of the moon today, this is what is shining that full light. This is what is illuminating the shadows, and it's saying it's doing so from a very clear and elevated perspective. So whatever we're seeing, you guys, whatever is being exposed, whatever darkness is being illuminated to us that is really helping us to slay those final demons that we may have been battling with, we're doing it from a very clear and elevated perspective, viewpoint. And also, remember, we have Jupiter and Neptune still in an exact conjunction in the sign of Pisces. This is also really trying to give us a very expanded spiritual connection and perception and outlook and just conscious elevation and conscious awakening going on simultaneously. And it is being described through the position of the moon today for our full moon that we have setting up. So right there, just those two Sabians in the context of the moon, also the full moon also being in square to Pluto, through imagination, lost opportunities are regained. Remember, Jupiter and Neptune together, this is also imagination supersized and expanded to its highest and most unlimited potential. And that is also one of the most important features in the process of manifestation, which is also another major lesson that we are being urged to learn this year as we navigate this energy and come into the realization of our ability to truly co-create with God and universe moving forward into this Aquarian paradigm. Through imagination, a lost opportunity is regained and an airplane sails high in the clear sky as we purge the priesthood. That is another major dynamic of this energy playing out today. Remember, we have Jupiter and Neptune, again, conjunct in the sky right now. This expansion of spiritual truth coming through, and it is at the degree, the purging of the priesthood. And actually, I wanted to read to you guys the entire degree of like the original Sabian symbol of this degree. They sort of get evolved and abbreviated over time. It's really annoying, and you kind of have to have a book or hunt for the original Sabian symbols if you want to know what they said from the beginning. But I wanted to, in the purging of the priesthood, this is just like the general accepted Sabian for this degree, and it's very powerful on its own. But listen to what the original Sabian for this degree is. A religious organization succeeds in overcoming the corrupting influence of perverted practices and materialized ideals. This to me is so like Jupiter and Neptune, the spiritual truth of this degree, that would be the quote, like religious organization that succeeds in overcoming the corrupting influences and the perverted practices and the over materialized ideals. This divine alignment between this duo of planets representing a massive spiritual awakening that is just washing over the collective of humanity while we have this moon in the exact square to Pluto at the very end of Capricorn. Pluto in Capricorn also is sort of synonymous to a purging of the priesthood, as Pluto represents purging and Capricorn would resonate to the priesthood classes, the elite classes, the powerful, long-standing rulership classes. Both of these two things in combination, you guys, plus we're talking about an actual full moon at those degrees and the Venus-Pluto square from last year's astrological cycle being like activated as well. There are definitely some changes coming our way in terms of understanding what has really been going on behind the scenes of things and rooting out things that have been distorting our ability to perceive the truth and to perceive the truth of our own value and the truth of the spiritual planes within this physical existence as well, and the power that that gives humanity as conscious co-creators simultaneously. I cannot understate the transformative power going on with this full moon. And I'm not just talking about, collectively on the world stage. I'm talking about in our individual lives as well. And on a personal level, on a micro level, the purging of the priesthood, this would also be a metaphor for the purging of these old dogmatic beliefs and mindsets that have kept us attached to the things and the cycles, the karmic cycles that have been keeping us out of our power. So really what this is a karmic cleansing, a karmic detox, a karmic purge and purification. We also have the South Node in Scorpio right now, also ruled by Pluto, very much simultaneously talking about this need to release these toxic attachments from the past that have been keeping us out of a state of the truth of our power. But it gets even better, you guys. And you want to know why and how it gets even better? Well, it gets even better for a couple of reasons. First of all, before I get into one of the other reasons why it gets even better, I want to talk about the rulers again, Venus and Mars, of this full moon itself today. Now, the sun is in Aries. Aries is ruled by Mars. The moon is in Libra. Libra is ruled by Venus. As I said, right now, Mars just entered Pisces, the sign of Pisces. And we also have Venus in the sign of Pisces alongside these two planets that are purging the priesthood. And Mars in the sign of Pisces, at this point in time, you guys, I'm definitely looking at this as a spiritual warrior archetype being activated. And Venus in the sign of Pisces, Venus is exalted in Pisces. This is a wonderful placement of Venus in the context of this full moon. This is really trying to restore our sense of like high heart energy and to really recalibrate our heart-based frequency in a way that opens us to receive these blessings, these miracles, this abundance, this fulfillment that is trying to come to us as we go through this transformative and regenerative process right now. But the fact that both of these two planets are in the sign of Pisces, while we have the moon, this full moon going on, alongside all of this other business I've been talking about, I really do feel like, again, this is emphasizing this purging of the priesthood energy, and the spiritual warrior is here for it. And the divine feminine and all of her exaltation is here for it. And I just feel like this is a very positive indication as well that we are being spiritually supported in a lot of really big ways to make these final cuts, to finally break ourselves free and to return to the sanctity of our heart and the sanctity of our will in alignment with our authentic truth in this energy as we're heading into the age of Aquarius. So that is really awesome too, that we have both of these planets in support of this process, this purging that is going on right now. Now let's talk about the other sort of big business that we have going on the outside of the full moon itself. This is not an aspect to the full moon, but it is playing out in the peripherals, and that is Mercury being in a close conjunction to Uranus in the sign of Taurus. Mercury is the messenger planet. This rules our ideas, our mind, thoughts, communication, media, social media, news, like what's going through the airways, what we're learning, what we're teaching, what we're talking about, it are just like communications and interactions with others. And Uranus is shocks and surprises and things happening suddenly and out of the blue for the purpose of rectifying things or putting things right in some type of a way. And in the case of this full moon in Libra, potentially restoring the balance and bringing justice in one way or another. Uranus is the great awakening planet as well. Uranus rules Aquarius, which is the paradigm that we're heading into right now. And what's happening with Uranus has a tendency of being kind of important in terms of what's happening with us collectively in our transition into this new energy. And with Mercury, the messenger planet, and Uranus coming together, there could be some really big, shocking revelations, you guys, that we find out over the course of this next couple weeks. It could have to do with like finances, economies, resources, supply chains, and stuff like that because of Uranus's placement in Taurus right now. But this aspect, Mercury's at 12 Taurus, Uranus is at 14 Taurus, also happens to be in almost an exact sextile to Venus in Pisces right now, who of course is the ruler of the moon in Libra, where it is staying, also the ruler of where Uranus is. So there could definitely be some interesting, weird, bizarre, shocking, like financial disclosures that are coming with this that are related to this purging of this priesthood energy. But here nor there, you know, one way or another, we are likely to get some very surprising, shocking revelations coming over this next 2 weeks. And that obviously is likely to play right into this exposure energy, this disclosure energy that is pushing towards this purge of these powerful and elite sectors that have been pulling the puppet strings throughout, the ages, okay, coming out of this age of Pisces. It's time for a change of the guard. It's very interesting, actually, because we have the black moon. I wasn't even going to talk about the black moon today because it's not aspecting, but I do want to bring this up because it's just so fitting. The black moon is moving to 1 degree of Cancer today, changing signs after a 9-month transit through Gemini. And the Sabian symbol where the black moon is today for this full moon that we have going on with all of these indications, the Sabian symbol on a ship, the sailors lower an old flag and raise a new one. It really does seem like the changing of the guard. And this is the black moon, which represents these shadows, these shadow side issues, the subconscious programming, these traumas, these complexes, these toxic attachments, the things that we're breaking free from now. On a ship, the sailors lower an old flag and raise a new one, like the purging of the priesthood through imagination, lost opportunities regained, an airplane sails high through the clear sky. And Mercury conjunct Uranus, there is definitely some type of revelation, information, news, something big most likely coming over this next 2 weeks that does a lot to root out corruption in some type of way, either again on the world stage, something that we're all sort of aware of, or in our own individual lives and in our own interpersonal relationships and dynamics and the things that we may have been struggling with in those contexts as well. And again, with this being in the almost exact sextile to Venus, who is ruling this full moon, it is definitely having to do with restoring the peace, restoring the balance, bringing justice, so that there can be some type of harmony reestablished in one way or another, and also restoring the value, restoring the worth, restoring the self-love that may have been lost in the process of going through that darkness and finding ourselves in those attached to those negative scenarios and giving our power away and then having to break free from that and take our power back and go through all of the struggles represented by that process. But coming to a point where it is over, we are done, we are standing in our truth, we are standing in our power of, our authenticity and our integrity and the will and the passion and the love, the heart space integrated and united, and just coming from this place of much greater self-empowerment. And again, that is what helps us to make this energetic shift and begin to attract into our lives the things that can bring us this true fulfillment and these opportunities, these lost opportunities regained. So that, you guys, is really what it boils down to. I want to read a couple of the other Sabians that we have going on. Mercury today at 12 degrees of Taurus in the conjunction to Uranus. That Sabian symbol is a young couple window shopping. Now again, this is interesting to me because we have Mars and Venus together in the sign of Pisces. We have the sun at the degree through imagination, lost opportunity regained, with Jupiter and Neptune together. This is manifestation energy, a young couple window shopping. I feel like this is really giving us some advice in this energy that, what we are navigating, what we are dealing with, the crazy things that we may be hearing and seeing and encountering right now, it is still up to us to decide what we want our future to look like. With this Jupiter-Neptune conjunction and also Mars and Venus now in Pisces, our will, our passion, and our heart in alignment with this imaginative force, this imaginative ability to really truly imprint our wishes and desires on the invisible planes of reality and on our subconscious mind, to reprogram our subconscious mind with what we want to experience in this reality through this process of imagination and uniting the divine feminine, the divine masculine, and actually picking out and designing the way that we want our future to look. Mercury, the mind, a young couple window shopping. And also, if you watched my video from yesterday where I was talking about the Jupiter and Neptune when they came to the exact to the minute conjunction, and we looked at that chart, there was a lot of mental energy woven in that chart as well, saying it is really so much about our mind, gaining mastery over our mind at this point in time. And with a young couple window shopping at this degree, in this energy, with all of this going on, I really feel like this is telling us that we can begin the process of truly actively designing and picking out the features of our new reality and doing it through this united functioning of the heart and the will and the passion within us, and also this enhanced ability to imagine the outcomes on a very feeling-based level that we want to experience going forward with all of this happening in the sign of Pisces, to really align our emotions and our feelings with what we truly wish for, are passionate about, and to desire, and to sort of watch them attract themselves into our lives. We also have Venus, important planet today, again, because the moon is in her sign at 13 degrees of Pisces. An ancient sword used in many battles is displayed in a museum. We're not falling for the past tactics anymore, you guys. We are seeing things clearly from an elevated perspective, infused with spiritual truth and awareness. And we are not allowing the same weapons that may have destroyed us in the past to get the better of us anymore. We are like wised up, you know what I mean? Like the tactics that we may have fallen for like time and time again in the past are not working. In fact, that ancient sword that was likely held or swung by those ancient regimes of power and control, that ancient priesthood class that is being purged in this moment, it is being laid to rest. It was used, that ancient sword that was used in many battles, laid to rest, displayed in a museum. So not only is it no longer in use, but now it is on full display with this full moon, so that we can all see the weapon that was used, how it was used, and gain an awareness. So you know what? We can't be it can't gain victory over us again. So I find that to be a very interesting placement of Venus in the context of all of this other energy that we have going on today as well. Definitely not falling for it anymore though, you guys. We have Mars at 2 degrees of Pisces today, a squirrel hiding from hunters. This degree can go a lot of different ways, but in the context of this chart and this energy, I'm actually perceiving this as like divine masculine and spiritual warriors, like on the hunt for anything that has been like stealing their nuts, like stealing their power, stealing their like abundance and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I feel like this is an empowered divine masculine energy that is ready and prepared to fight back and to take back what is ours, or what always was ours, which is this authenticity and this truth and this spiritual connection that we may have lost sight of, lost contact with, or not even really realized or perceived as a way, or as a result of the way that things have kind of unfolded throughout the age of Pisces and this age of spiritual hierarchy and whatnot. But now, you know, Mars, Venus, Jupiter, Neptune in the sign of Pisces, this full moon in a square to Pluto, the purging of the priesthood. I feel like we are standing in our power, we are fighting back, and we are taking back what was originally and is originally and authentically ours. And then of course we have the purging of the priesthood degree going on by Jupiter and Neptune. And then we also have Saturn for this full moon, 24 degrees of Aquarius, turning his back on his passions. A man teaches deep wisdom from his experiences. This also is us like overcoming our lower instincts, like our lower ego-based nature, like ascending into our higher selves and beginning to embody the wisdom from the experiences that we've gained, and sort of let go of the more frivolous things that may have distracted us from our true purpose and our true path in the past. And as a result, becoming sort of like a living example for other people who are just not as far along on this path yet to follow through this genuine wisdom that is being not taught and lectured, but exhibited through embodied experience. Saturn, the disciplinarian, the judge, the teacher at this degree. This is definitely self-discipline is something that we really need to be cultivating in this energy right now as well. What else? We have Pluto, 29 degrees of Capricorn, a woman reading tea leaves. There is this very strong, as we know, ability to connect with the divine, to ask for guidance, to ask for assistance, to ask for help in navigating our issues, signs, synchronicities, ways that we can tangibly understand. Ask for signs in a way that you can tangibly understand and perceive them, that will guide you along the path to your greatest growth, this purge, this purification, this transformation, this regeneration that we're going on right now. Even Pluto in the square, Pluto in Capricorn, the purging of the priesthood, aside from the fact that we actually have that exact degree in effect, talking about the woman reading tea leaves while we have those two planets in Pisces, this divine expanded spiritual connection, at the purging of the priesthood decree. So again, this spiritual infusion is really doing so much to help us in this process of clearing and releasing ourselves from any lingering or remaining darkness that we may have been existing in out of a lack of clarity, out of a lack of perception. The moon today, the airplane sails high in the clear sky. And on that note, I already said the degree of the black moon, which I also found to be very interesting. The black moon changes just for this full moon. And again, the black moon is not in effect today, but just on degree placement value on a ship, the sailors lower an old flag and raise a new one in the context of this energy. Just another Sabian symbol, like smashing the point home. So that's what I got for this energy today, you guys. The purging of the priesthood is really sort of what is woven all through this energy. This could be very literal. This could also be very metaphorical in terms of, as I said, those dogmatic belief systems and mindsets of the past that had caused us to surrender our power and to find ourselves attached to relationships, circumstances, situations that were keeping us from realizing the truth of the value that we hold within us, and therefore being able to come to this place of self-empowerment so that we can release ourselves from these things, so that we can tap in and tune into our authentic truth and the creative potential and the unique gifts and talents, and really activate our potential, activate our destiny, and go in this radically new direction in accordance with our soul's calling at this point in time, that in this 222 year, you guys, is trying to lead us to our soul's true fulfillment and these opportunities regained, these endless possibilities, and these miracles that are available to us once we go through this energetic shift and release ourselves from the priesthoods of the past as we are transitioning out of the age of Pisces. Like, it's just all so perfect into the age of Aquarius. Self-knowledge, self-mastery, self-empowerment, co-creation. That's the plan. That's what's going on. That's where we're going. And it's going to be real interesting to see how things go, how things play out over this next couple of weeks, because it's looking like it could get a little wild. So that's all I'm going to say. That's what I have to talk about. I'm going to draw us a synchronicity card, you guys. I'm not going to do the tarot today. I will get back on the tarot with my videos for Monday. I don't usually do it with the new moons and the full moons, just because I have a tendency of running long and I wasn't prepared to do it today. So I'm not going to do it today, but I am going to pull a synchronicity card for us. And this guidance is what we need to know, and just something that we need to like keep in the back of our mind over the next couple of weeks as this energy is transpiring and playing out. So let's see what message God wants us to keep in the back of our mind and sort of use as a guiding compass as we are navigating whatever challenges may be coming at us, or just, you know, help us to navigate this energy to our highest and our best level. Let's shuffle again and see if anything comes out for us. I generally, like as a card reader, I always prefer when the cards come out themselves as to when like I choose them, just because I feel like it's just more divinely guided that way. But let's see. Okay, we actually had two that just decided to come out. And these are so I will read both of them. These are the two cards that came out. We have Keep the Faith, which, yes, you guys, and Bless them and Walk On. Yes. Okay. Let's read Keep the Faith first. It says, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." Psalms 23:1. God is within you and watching over you. You will see evidence of this fact in your life very soon if you cannot see it this very second. Go on forward with confidence. Everything is working together for your good right now. Absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect for this energy. Thank you, synchronicity cards. By the way, these cards are by Janice Shellman, and I absolutely love them. Okay, the next message, Bless them and walk on. The words of a talebearer are as wounds, and they go down in the innermost parts of the belly. Proverbs 26:22. You can see through the darkness of another's mind. You're not responsible for their negative thinking, and you cannot change their mind. Do not get involved. Bless them and walk on. You can see through the darkness of another's mind. That is what I feel like this energy is exposing to us. This ancient sword used in many battles is displayed in a museum. Swords, the position of Venus, ruler of this Libra moon. Swords resonate to the mind. This is the full moon lighting up the shadows. You can see through the darkness of another's mind. You are not responsible for their negative thinking, and you cannot change their mind. We are purging the priesthood right now, you guys. Do not get involved. Bless them, walk on, and keep the faith. As usual, the synchronicity cards came through with a little magic sprinkle for the end of this report. So relevant. Like, couldn't be more relevant, actually, in the context of this energy. And I really feel like keeping this in our mind throughout this next couple of weeks is probably likely to benefit us tremendously. So you guys, that is what I have for my full moon video. I hope you liked it. I hope I was able to deliver something for you that gives you some clarity or helps you to just navigate and decipher what is happening in your life over this next couple weeks a little bit better. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. I seriously love you guys all so much. Thank you so much for your comments. Thank you so much for your likes. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. And if you haven't done so, please do. It really helps me out a lot. I have a Facebook page, a Facebook group, an Instagram, a TikTok, and a website. Those are in my description box below. And come back with me on Monday, you guys. We are going to have another full week of astrology to talk about. And if the next 2 weeks are anything like the first 2 weeks of our Aries cycle, I'm sure it's about to be on and poppin'. And everybody, another thing that I didn't even say about this report, holy crap, happy Easter. The return of the sun, which also honestly fits right into the messaging of this full moon report. So I'm not going to talk about it, but you can take that and apply it to what I've said. Like, take the concepts and themes of Easter and apply it to what's going on with this chart. And it is going to it opens up a whole nother layer of what we're dealing with in this energy. So that's what I have to say, you guys. Happy Easter. Hope everyone has a beautiful weekend, and I will see you guys on Monday. Bye.